What happens when the only way to save your kingdom is to discover the horrifying truth that you are the problem? That's really the core tragedy we're exploring today. A story where the very intelligence you rely on, well, it becomes powerless against a terrible destiny. We're tackling a giant today, Sophocles' Oedipus the King. And before we really dig into the text itself, we wanted to mention the format you're hearing. We're calling this an extended summary. So discover a new, in-depth approach to book coverage. Unlike our previous reviews, which were more focused analyses, this offers a really comprehensive overview. We'll trace the intellectual roots, the key arguments, and the real-world impact of this play. If you find this expanded format helpful, please let us know. Your feedback helps shape what we do next.
Exactly. And to give you that necessary depth, especially with foundational texts like this one, I mean, this is an ancient Greek tragedy first performed way back around 429 BCE. We've combined forces. So, you're experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's NotebookLM for deeper, more dynamic book summaries. Our mission here is to get beyond just the plot points and really try to understand the layers of suspense, human folly, and, well, immovable fate that make this one of the absolute cornerstones of the Western literary canon.
Okay, so let's unpack this setting. It's crucial. The physical place is the royal palace in Thebes, but the real environment, it's defined by catastrophe. The city is suffering under this brutal, devastating plague. And the descriptions make it clear this isn't just a physical sickness. It feels more like a spiritual contamination, suggesting something is fundamentally rotten in the state.
Right, that political and moral crisis is absolutely central to the drama. Thebes is a monarchy, and it relies heavily on divine authority, things like oracles and prophecies. They're used to legitimize rule and maintain order. So the people are looking to their king, Oedipus, for a cure, obviously, but they're also seeking, maybe a reaffirmation of divine oversight. They need the gods to speak.
And Oedipus, the man famous for solving the riddle of the Sphinx, which proved his intelligence and actually won him the throne, he takes immediate action. He's a leader. He consults the oracle at Delphi. And the divine decree that comes back is brutal, but it's crystal clear. The plague is the result of an unpunished murder. It will only stop when the killer of the former king Laius is found and driven out of Thebes.
And this immediately sets up the cultural backdrop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In Greek tragedy, you just cannot escape the divine word. Consulting oracles isn't like getting advice. It's a non-negotiable requirement for them. The whole tragic structure hinges on this interplay between divine will and, well, the human desire for free choice. The play is essentially asking, can human effort, even the effort of a brilliant, successful king, can it actually outrun a destiny fixed by the gods?
Which brings us straight to the narrative kickoff and that central terrifying element of the story, dramatic irony. Oedipus, absolutely determined to save his city and show off his famous investigative genius, makes this huge public vow. He promises to find the culprit and punish him, damning the murderer to exile or even death. He is, of course, completely unaware that he's launching an investigation into his own life. The seeker's about to discover he's the one being sought.
Oh, absolutely. And Sophocles ramps up that irony through the core character dynamics he uses to build tension. You have Oedipus himself, the determined but, let's face it, fundamentally blind protagonist. Then there's Jocasta, the queen. She's a vital counterpoint. Her initial reaction is sort of dismissive of prophecy altogether. Maybe, just maybe, because she knows some secrets about the past that she desperately wants to keep buried.
But the real intellectual crucible, the moment things really intensify, starts with the introduction of Tiresias, the blind prophet.
Yes. When Oedipus calls in the ultimate source of divine knowledge, he's expecting, I suppose, an easy answer. Instead, Tiresias refuses to speak at first. He knows the horrifying cost of the truth. But when Oedipus pushes him, accuses him, insults him, that classic moment of hubris or tragic flaw, Tiresias is forced to reveal this devastating paradoxical truth. He says something like, the man you are looking for is here. He lives among you, an alien, but soon he'll be revealed a native Theban. He will be brother and father to his own children, husband and son to his mother, and the murderer of his own father. Just shattering.
The sources really stress how crucial that specific prophecy is. It doesn't neatly solve the mystery. Instead, it completely flips the investigation. It goes from a search for some unknown stranger to this intense internal power struggle. Oedipus immediately rejects it, right? He accuses Creon, Jocasta's brother and his advisor, of plotting with Tiresias to steal the throne. And this shows us the first layer of Oedipus's weakness, that rash temper, his quick jump to political conspiracy instead of considering the spiritual possibility.
What's really fascinating about Sophocles' technique here is how structurally constrained the play is. It really maximizes the emotional intensity. He sticks closely to the classical three unities: unity of action, place, and crucially, time. The entire investigation unfolds basically in real time right there in front of the palace. It forces this relentless, irreversible progression of discovery over a single awful day. There's no escape, no time to regroup or think.
And while the main characters are driving all that dramatic dialogue, we shouldn't forget the chorus. They represent the elders of Thebes. They act as the voice of the community, and often they're like the moral compass for the audience watching. They witness the huge confrontation between the king and the prophet, and they're horrified. They try to mediate. They don't just react passively. Their shifting faith in Oedipus actually demonstrates the crumbling political stability of the whole kingdom.
The investigation just keeps pushing forward through dialogue, focusing on the past, piece by agonizing piece. Jocasta, trying to soothe Oedipus's paranoia about Tiresias, attempts to prove prophecies are meaningless. She recounts a past one given to Laius, that Laius would be killed by his own son. She says, look, she and Laius took steps to prevent this, pinning their infant son's ankles and leaving him on a mountainside. And besides, Laius was murdered by a band of robbers at a place where three roads meet.
And here's where the clues really start to pile up, chipping away at Oedipus's certainty. That mention of the triple crossroads, it instantly unnerves him. He starts asking these very specific questions. What did Laius look like? How many men were with him? And then he begins recounting this horrific incident from his own past, a kind of road rage incident where he killed several men at a similar crossroads years ago while he was traveling from Corinth, the city he thought he was from.
The structure essentially becomes a detective story, but one where every new detail confirms a terrible fate, not solves a crime in the way he expects. The single crucial piece of evidence that could potentially absolve him is the statement made by the lone surviving servant from Laius's party. The servant had claimed it was many robbers who attacked them. If Oedipus killed them single-handedly, well, the stories don't match. But what if the servant was lying? Maybe out of fear? Then Oedipus could be the man. The suspense builds because that servant is the only living witness who can connect all the dots.
Okay, so we've tracked this relentless investigation. Let's pivot now, if we can, to the thematic depth. Because this isn't just about a murder mystery, is it? It's about the profound limits of human knowledge. Oedipus defined himself by his intellect. He solved the Sphinx's riddle by knowing the answer. Man. But now, he fails to solve the greatest riddle of all, himself.
That's the critical distinction, isn't it? Oedipus had technical knowledge, the ability to solve external problems. Tiresias, though physically blind, possesses self-knowledge and divine insight. The play starkly contrasts Oedipus's definition of knowledge, seeing it as a tool for mastery and control, with Tiresias's, which is more about acceptance of inevitable, larger truths. This profound tension between destiny and the limits of human perception, that's what defines human suffering in the play.
And Sophocles' style, it's formal, it's poetic, it ensures the emotional weight of this discovery is just immense. The dialogue is driven by these intense rhetorical questions and escalating emotional exchanges. It transforms what could be a police procedural into a deep psychological thriller.
This relentless pace, it forces a moment of reflection on the nature of destiny itself, which actually leads us nicely to a resource we often find helpful when looking at these foundational texts.
Mindful Moments, our YouTube channel. It offers AI book analysis, summaries, and critiques, really inspiring reflection and rational thought. And it's valuable for aspiring authors, too.
Right, so returning to the irony, Sophocles uses it relentlessly, especially through the middle section of the play. While Oedipus is busy pointing fingers at Creon, at Tiresias the audience is trapped. We're stuck with his terrifying foresight, knowing the truth he's desperately trying to uncover. He curses the murderer, promising the most awful punishment, completely unaware he's calling down destruction upon his own head. This fundamental gap, this disconnect between the hero's self-perception and the actual truth, that's the engine that drives so much of Western tragic drama.
And the sheer power of that engine is why Oedipus the King is universally acclaimed as a masterpiece. It's not just a gripping plot. It's recognized specifically for the absolute mastery of its dramatic structure and its use of that overwhelming, inescapable irony.
Its legacy definitely continues to resonate, not just in academic circles or theatrical traditions, but also in how we think about human psychology and, frankly, self-deception. The play remains a seminal classical work because it presents this perfect, terrifying structure of self-discovery. It shows how the past inevitably catches up to the present, doesn't it? Regardless of how far you travel or how successfully you try to build a new identity.
So what's the essential takeaway for you, the listener, after this deep dive? I think the book provides this profound meditation on the terrifying possibility that the solution to our biggest problems might not be found out there somewhere. It might lie in truths about ourselves that we desperately, desperately try to avoid. The tragic nature of the story is that the most dangerous discovery Oedipus makes is ultimately self-discovery. The journey to truth is rarely easy, is it? Especially when that truth is internal. Think about the nature of destiny and responsibility here. If Oedipus's fate was truly determined from birth, why does he physically blind himself near the end? Is that the ultimate act of free will, finally making a choice separate from destiny? Or is it just the final required step of the preordained catastrophe? Something to ponder. Click the link on screen to subscribe, share, and purchase via link.
See the many genre-based book podcasts at Mindful Moments. Subscribe and nourish your mind on the go.